Fuji versus Sony, Sony versus Fuji Part 1. Here we have Fuji X-T20 and Sony A7 Mark II, both with telephoto lenses. Now, for this one, the equivalent of this lens would be a little bit shorter, also a little bit thicker, and weigh more or less the same. So let's start maybe with how much the systems weigh. .5 kilograms and 971 grams. So as you can see, this one is pretty much 2/3 of the weight of the big one. So this is more or less impractical if you want to remain hidden, so to say. It's much smaller, much lighter, much more handy, but APS-C full frame. Sorry. So of course this one will be lighter and everything, but is the image quality worth it? Let's see the photos. So this is part 1. We're gonna start with telephoto lenses, then we'll go to normal zoom lenses, and maybe we'll try something else, maybe like night photography or something. Okay, so let's go to the photos made with these two sets. So yeah, we're gonna make some telephoto comparison of those two cameras. So right away, which one would be better for walking around with a zoom lens, you know? Of course this one. It's like, even if it makes worse photos, you will not take this lens with you. You will not have it in your backpack just for the moments when you see something nice in the distance and want to make a photo of it. You will not. So this is the camera for that. This is a walk around camera. This is like when you know you're gonna make some photos. All right, let's go to the park and make some photos with it. I'm gonna make JPEG and RAW. Okay, here we are. On the left you have a Sony file, and on the right you have the Fuji file. As you can see here, Sony photo looks a little bit better. I think it's on the account of it being darker, so you can see more contrast, more of the light and stuff. If you zoom in, you can see that the Fuji files are actually a little bit sharper, and this is the property of the JPEG. So it's some kind of a Fuji algorithm for sharpening. You will not see this sharpness on your RAW file, so this is something to remember. Let's go to another pair. Okay, so this is the Fuji and this is the Sony, and here Fuji looks really better. I think there was some kind of flaring here on the lens on the Sony file, but if you come close, it's really sharper than the Sony. I think that the out of focus areas are also a little bit nicer. Here, as you can see, there's a very little dynamic range going on, so there's probably very little difference between the two files. And really, in those kind of situations, when you're doing street photography and stuff, it's really you can really shoot it with micro four thirds or anything, and you won't see the difference. But the Sony file turns out not to be sharp. Sorry for that. But it's really hard to tell the difference really. Here's the Sony file, and this is the Fuji file, as you can see here, and this is a property of those two cameras. The Sony will be a little bit on the green side, and the Fuji will be a little bit on the purple side. If we get close, you can really see very little difference. Also, the Fuji files are sharper, so I mean there's very little difference. Autofocus is much better on the new Fuji cameras, and the price is comparable to A7 Mark II, but not to the new ones that have really nice autofocus. So To be honest, is it worth it to pay this much for the Sony at this point? I mean, A7 Mark II is probably a little bit old. You would have to go with A7R Mark II. I mean, is it worth it? I don't know, it's very little difference. Here, this is the Sony and this is the Fuji. So as you can see, the Sony actually on this particular situation done much better with the shadow recovery. So the chimneys are actually bright, while here they are completely, not completely, but very dark. So here I would say Sony wins. Okay, now let's go to the RAW files, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a slideshow of 12 pairs of files, and at the end I'm gonna show you which ones were made with which camera, and yeah, you can play along and see which photos you like best without knowing which camera they are from.